film opens with Tommy making a whistle. His mom, Jules, comes to take him out and asks what he is doing. Tommy says that he is making a whistle for Michael since he liked the last one he gave him at the family reunion. Jules says that it is sweet of him and they have to leave now to catch his plane. Tommy has second thoughts about leaving Jules alone for 4 days, but Jules assures that she can manage while he visits Beverly Hills. Switching over, we find Michael, who wakes up at 12:15 in the afternoon. Housekeeper Arlene prepares some grass juice for him. He hands it to him, asking how he manages to drink this, and that he needs to eat some meat. Michael intends to maintain 9% body fat, and that's how he can do it. Right then, Michael's mother JC walks down, reminding him to pick up Tommy from the airport. But Michael doesn't want to since he has to spend time with his girlfriend Gina. JC hears of Gina for the first time and asks him to pick up Tommy since she has a ton of things to do for the fundraiser in Palm Springs. Michael tries to talk himself out of it by saying that his schedule is packed with Gina now, but JC reminds him how much Tommy is struggling after losing his father, and that he is coming here only to spend time with Michael. She mentions that Gina will understand, and right then, his father, Glenn, walks down telling Michael to go to college. At class, Michael is busy talking with Gina about their future trip to the French Riviera. After the class, Gina gifts Michael a watch for their 2-week anniversary. Michael tries it on, and only then he realizes that he is late to pick up Tommy. He runs immediately, telling her that he is late, and reaches the airport to find Tommy waiting for him. Tommy is happy to meet Michael after so long, and he takes out the whistle to give it to him. But Michael cuts him off and goes on the phone with Gina. Back at home, Tommy has dinner with Michael and JC. JC wishes that Jules could have come as well, but Tommy says that his mom wanted to as well. But at the time, at least one of them is needed back home. JC mentions how Disneyland is on top of his list of places to visit, and Tommy promises that he will take him there on Monday. Right then, Glenn walks in and JC apologizes to Tommy since they have to be at the fundraiser at Palm Springs, and asks Michael to take good care of Tommy before they leave. Later, Michael takes Tommy to the movie room and asks him what he wants to watch. Tommy says it doesn't matter as long as he can spend time with Michael. But Michael says that he wants to visit his girlfriend, and leaves Tommy alone. In the morning, Arlene makes breakfast for Tommy, and Michael returns only then to inform that he got to leave immediately. Tommy wants to go with him, but Michael tells him to stay here and leaves. Tommy plays with the soccer ball, tries tennis, plays games, and by night he plays with the remote boat on the pool, while he watches Michael on the phone with Gina. The next day he watches movies, makes his style of breakfast for Arlene, and even shows her rope tricks. The next day, Michael walks in and Arlene makes him aware of avoiding Tommy the whole time. Michael brushes her off, saying that he will take Tommy to Disneyland next week, but Arlene reminds him that Tommy will be leaving the next day. Shocked to remember this, Michael finds Tommy walk down and informs Tommy that they are leaving to Disneyland today. Tommy is excited and Arlene is happy to see this. Michael and Tommy leave immediately, and Michael apologizes for leaving him alone, but right then, he gets a call from Gina to join her to see her father. Tommy is shocked to find Michael promise her to meet her father. He takes Tommy to Kitty's Zone and leaves him there. We switch over to a racetrack where Gina's father appreciates Michael for choosing a winner. Michael wants to leave, but Gina and her dad makes him stay for the next one as well. Michael runs out and takes his car, but accidentally he hits another car while he reversed without watching. The lady comes down seeing what he done, but Michael gives her his details, saying that he got a family emergency and leaves. Michael reaches Kitty's Zone and searches for Tommy all over the place. He asks the lady working there to find that Arlene has picked him up. Michael reaches home and finds Tommy watching the TV. Michael apologizes, but Tommy can't take it anymore after hearing that Michael was at a racetrack. Right then, Glenn and JC walk in to find them, and Tommy lies about having a great time at Disneyland and goes inside since he's got to pack. Glenn asks Michael about the car, and Michael says that it was a hit and run. The next day, Tommy walks down with his bags and the whistle he made for Michael. Glenn takes Tommy to the airport since Michael has already left the house. Michael returns home for dinner, and JC informs him that she got an interesting call from Jules after Tommy returned. Glenn agrees, mentioning that Arlene told him about Michael's selfish decisions in leaving him at a children's daycare center, and is furious. He confronts Michael for his maltreatment of his cousin, and demanded to know why he didn't ignore Gina and spend time with Tommy. Michael tries to defend himself, but it further annoys Glenn and JC. Soon, the cops make a visit looking for Michael, and Glenn soon learns about his accident at the racetrack. Michael had given her the wrong information, and since the lady wrote down his license plate numbers, the police could get hold of them. Fed up with his selfishness, Glenn wonders where they have gone wrong in raising him. Michael tries to talk his way out by saying that he will use his trust fund money to fix the car and get Tommy to come back here, and that he will make up with him. Seeing him take it easy, Glenn determines that the appropriate disciplinary action is to have him work on his Aunt Jules' ranch in Montana for a month. If Michael's parents get a negative telephone call from the Jules or Tommy regarding him, they intend to cancel his upcoming trip with Gina to the French Riviera. Michael agrees with no other way around. He reaches Montana, and his Aunt Jules and Tommy come to pick him up. Jules stop by at a place before they go home. Tommy finds her return looking a little gloomy. They soon reach their cattle ranch, and Jules introduces Michael to Mule and Twister. After that, they head inside, and Tommy shows Mike to his room and asks him to rest there while he heads outside to help Jules. Sometime later, Michael calls Gina to inform her about his situation, but Gina asks him to join her to a party. Michael is shocked, and even though he wants to, he continues to explain that his parents will cancel his trip to the French Riviera if he cannot stay here for a month. After the call, Michael is shocked to find Tommy standing there and follows him inside. Tommy shows him their antique TV and asks him watch it however long and heads inside to sleep. In the morning, Tommy wakes Michael up and he is shocked to find that it is only 4:30 and goes back to sleep. But Tommy mentions that he knows about the French Riviera and also that he has memorized Uncle Glenn's phone number. Having no way but to accept, Michael gets ready to join the others for breakfast. Jules asks Tommy what he has planned for Michael to do for the day, and since he doesn't want to let Michael ride the horses, he says he will find Michael something to do around here. Michael seems to find that suggestion fine and agrees with him. Tommy takes Michael in front of the barn and asks him to move the manure in front of the bull's pen. Even though Michael doesn't want to, Tommy leaves right away, mentioning him to figure out how to do it. Soon, Michael starts to shovel the manure manually and carries it. He moves the pile and happens to slip and fall over. Right then, Tommy returns with Mule and Twister, who laugh at him for not using the tractor. Only then does Michael realize that there was a tractor right behind the barn all along. Michael heads in, grunting to wash himself. At this time, Tommy learns from Jules that they have 4 weeks' time before the ranch goes up for auction. Michael walks out to sit with them, and Tommy gets up to head inside. Michael then points towards the half-built treehouse, and Jules mentions that was the project his Uncle John and Tommy took up before his uncle got sick and died. She continues to reminisce about John but turns to find that Michael is asleep sitting there. The next day, Michael wants to join Tommy to ride the horses. Tommy recommends Michael to ride the horse he calls Slingshot, but Michael wants to ride the one called Black Lightning. Michael manages to get on the horse, but the horse goes crazy, and Michael falls over inside the bullpen. Tommy warns him and asks Michael to immediately jump over. Surprised, Michael turns around to find the bull charging towards him, and manages to jump over the fence and escapes on the last breath. Tommy mentions that he should have taken up his advice earlier. Sometime later, Michael joins the others as they round up the cattle. They settle down as the sun sets, and Michael asks Tommy how they managed to ride the horse all day. As Tommy mentions that he will get used to it, Twister drops in to assign Michael for the first watch for the night, and advises Michael to not make any noise since the cattle get spooked easily at night. Michael calls Gina to complain about his trouble at the ranch, but soon goes speechless looking at the starlit sky. Gina gets frustrated for not paying attention and cuts the call, but she soon calls him back and the cattle get spooked hearing his cell phone ring. Michael falls over from the horse and starts running at the cattle chase him. Michael jumps to catch hold of a tree branch and escapes. The others come to find him, and Tommy looks at him after picking up his broken phone. In the morning, Tommy orders Michael to load the wooden poles onto the truck. Michael finds it easy and finishes loading. Mule drops in to mention that the truck he loaded doesn't run and points him towards the truck inside the shed. Michael gets frustrated and finds Tommy. He blames Tommy for behaving in such a way and reveals that he only got along with him at their family reunion years ago because they were the only children at the event. Michael, no longer caring if his parents cancel his trip, demands Tommy to leave him alone. Sometime later, Twister finds Michael sleeping and reprimands him for not caring for his aunt and Tommy even though they are going to lose their ranch. Michael is shocked to hear this and asks him why they haven't told him. Twister tells him that even if he knew, he won't care and asks him start working on the fence on his own. Back at the barn, the personnel from the bank are here to make a list of items to put up for the auction. As they leave, Michael walks in and asks who they were. Jules lies to him and Tommy ignores him. At night, Michael has trouble sleeping and gets out to train along with Black Lightning. Hearing the sound, Tommy wakes up to find Michael riding the horse much better than before. Later, Michael works hard and finishes fixing up the fence. He notices Tommy and goes to sit along with him. Tommy shows him the wild horses and brings up how his father always used to mention that the wild horses bring them luck. Michael learns of all the horses' names and asks why he did not mention about the ranch going up for sale. Tommy tells him since when does he care, since he will be long gone on his vacation with Gina. Michael rushes back to the house and calls his father, Glenn. He mentions about the problem with the ranch, and is shocked to learn that his father already knew about it. Glenn mentions that he wanted to help them the moment he heard about it, but his aunt is so stubborn that she doesn't to accept any help. Michael mentions that he will find some way to help them. In the morning, Michael pitches his idea about starting a pyramid scheme with Twister. However, Twister mentions that if he got money for his thing, he would just hand it over to her, just like any other person around here. Even though Twister thanks his mind to help them, he mentions that is how things are around here for most of the ranches and farmers. Later, Jules get ready to visit their Uncle Hank, but Michael wants to stay back. She finds Tommy working hard to finish up the treehouse and calls out to him to come down. After they leave, Michael plans to finish the treehouse and starts working on it. But as Jules and Tommy return, Michael comes down to surprise him, but Tommy is angry that it was his and his father task to complete it. Tommy goes up crying and starts breaking apart the treehouse. Heartbroken, Michael apologizes and heads inside. At night, Michael calls Gina to mention about the ranch, and that he cannot find how to help them. But Gina cuts him off mentioning about the plans she has during their trip. The next day, while Michael is working, Tommy comes to find and asks him to join him. Michael jumps along, and they find that one of the horses has gotten stuck in the mud. Tommy heads down as Michael holds onto the rope. They work together as Tommy guides him through as he calms down the horse. Michael sees Tommy in a new light, and soon they manage to free the horse. Back at the house, Jules is worried, and as she watches them return, she heads down to inform that Michael is late for his flight. Michael only then sees the time and returns with his bags packed. Michael apologizes to Tommy for not taking care of him back then and asks to treat him better the next time Tommy visits him. They leave, and Jules tells Tommy to go wash himself. As they ride back, Jules notices Tommy riding the horse, and as she stops, Tommy hands Michael the whistle he had made for him. Michael thanks him and bids farewell to him. Back home, Michael visits the racetrack once again with Gina and her father. As Michael watches the horses on the racetrack, he realizes the difference between them and the wild horse back at the ranch. After the race, as Gina and her father go up to take a picture with the winning horse, the horse goes crazy. Michael walks up to the horse and manages to calm it down. Later, Arlene comes to find Michael since Gina has come to pick him up for the vacation. Seeing his behavior, Arlene realizes that Michael has changed. Michael walks out to meet Gina, but he tells her that he is not going with her and breaks up with her. In the next scene, we see that Michael has sold off his car, and after that, he liquidates some of the assets from his trust fund. Jules is packing up the things for the auction, and she finds Michael walk in and give her a check. Even though she is happy with his action, Jules rejects his help and gives it back. Soon it is the day of the auction, and Michael helps Tommy to get things out for it. In one of the boxes, Michael opens to find Tommy's school assignment, and right then he remembers his assignment he did for a class that dealt with land trusts. He heads inside to call Glenn to read the paper to him. After that, Michael runs out to take his truck out, but he cannot since the people who have come for the auction have parked all around it. So he takes black lighting and rides out. Jules and Mule have not idea where he is headed. Michael reaches the town and parks the horse, and even pays the parking fee. He heads inside the bank to inform about his research, and that Jules Ranch meets with all the criteria for a land trust. The bank manager agrees. At this time, the auction has started, and Jules heads out since she cannot take it anymore. Right then, they find Michael return. He heads up to get the microphone and announces that the auction is over. Jules asks what he is doing. Michael shows her the bank letter, and that they have got an extension for another month. He tells Tommy that his father was right, and that the wild horses are indeed lucky. Jules is speechless, and Michael informs that he read about it in school, and since the wild horses live there, the government will pay for them to take care of the horses. Even though they won't own the land anymore, they get to stay here. Jules thanks Michael, and he asks her to let him stay here for a few more days. The movie ends with Tommy inviting Michael over to work on the treehouse. And that is it for this movie from 1999 called Horse Sense, a heartwarming film that delivers a strong message about the importance of family, hard work, and personal growth. Through its blend of humor and drama, the movie effectively chronicles Michael's transformation from a spoiled, entitled young man to someone who values the simple joys of life and understands the deeper meaning of responsibility. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I shall see you again in the next video. Until then, this is your host for Movie Recap, signing off.